afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us for another edition of Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. This is Mzansi's fast-growing consumer affairs show. My name is Piwo Nzawumbi. Kwakhona namhlanje siniphathela omnye wokuchaphazela nina njengabathengi. Silungiselela ke zonke izinto ofuna nizazile. Lungisokuhlala ke nawe kule yure yethu. Hlaba amahlongwane xa sizibuyisele ekhaya. Ake mangachithi ixesha masebenzele emxholweni mawethu. Now, before getting into this week's topic, in our recent program we focused on the rare coin collection story with the aim of warning consumers about scammers who are duping people about the value of the R5 Mandela coins that are in circulation. Later on in the program, we'll be joined by our guest who will clarify the issue. So please make sure that you don't miss today's information on the Mandela coin story, rather. Now, getting into today's topic, we focus on the recently signed Protection of Personal Information Bill, or legislation, or act rather, about the reckless handling of and unscrupulous use of personal information that has become a source of concern to many consumers. But it is hoped that the recently passed Protection Information Law will come to the rescue of many consumers. Now, is this true or is it not? Let's quickly have a look at today's incident.
Into ebonakala ilula njengokuvula i-akhawunti okanye ugcwalise uxwebhu lweenkcukacha zakho yinto oyenza ungakhange uyithathele ingqalelo. Khona yintoni ufuna ukucinga nzulu kwinto ebonakala ingenabungozi olu hlobo? Kanti uyakumangala ukuva ukuba kuninzi okunokwenziwa ngeenkcukacha zakho. Kubalulekile ukuba iinkcukacha zakho zihlale imfihlakalweni maxesha onke. Emva kokuzisebenzisa naphi na kufuneka icace mhlophe ukuba zisawukhuseleka njani na yaye ziphelele phi xa seziwenzile umsebenzi wazo. Akukudalanga apho ilungelo lakho lithe laveza ubungozi bokungakhuseleki kweenkcukacha zabantu bangamawakawaka abamkela inkamnkam nabathe bangamaxhoba xa kwathi kwavela into yokuba iinkcukacha ezigcinwe liziko lokuhlawula inkamnkam isasa zathi zasetyenziswa ngamashishini abucala. Bambi bashiyeka bengenamali kuba kwakutsalwa imali eakhawuntini zabo ngaphandle kwemvume kunye nolwazi lwabo. Yokugqibela yokuba le nkampani esenza oku zange babe nabudlelwane nayo ngasekuqaleni. Kula maxesha amashishini amaninzi awasalindi umthengi ukuba angene evenkileni suke ibe ngawo waleqeka emva komthengi. Konke oku kwenziwa lula ushishino lokuthengisa ngeenkcukacha zabathengi. Yiyo loo nto uyakuthi uhleli ufumane umnxeba kubuze ukuthengisela le nale, uzibuze ukuba balifumene phi na igama lakho okanye inombolo yakho yomnxeba. Lo mthetho, i-Protection of Personal Information, usuka kude ngo-2005. Ngokuqala uza kulawula indlela amashishini ekufuneka aphathe, akhusele yaye agcine iinkcukacha zabathengi. Ukufika kwawo kungqamene kanye nexesha apho abathengi bezibona bengamaxhoba okuxhatshazwa kunye nolwaphulo-mthetho. Ngoku amashishini kufuneka azilungiselele yaye achule nokunyathela xa ethatha iinkcukacha zabathengi. Nabathengi bawazi amalungelo abo kunye nendlela yokuwakhusela xa enyashiwe. Uvuyisile Mdoda, Yilungelo Lakho.
And now to further our discussion on how the Protection of Personal Information Act will strengthen the protection of your rights as a consumer, we're pleased to welcome Elroy Paulson from Black Sash, simkele again no Lucian Pierce, yena oliqwetha elingcali kwezokhusela lweenkcukacha or lwezazisi zabantu nenkampani, that is Information Protection Lawyer. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. And hopefully we're going to have a fruitful one. Now, last year, this is what happened. The department, or rather Parliament, passed this Protection of Personal Information Bill, that is the POPI Act. I just want you to talk basically about this. Let's just state it from the basics. What is POPI and why was there a need to pass it?
I think if you'd like me to start, POPI is a law which basically allows us as individuals to ensure that any sensitive information of ours is protected and that nobody who doesn't need it has access to it. You might ask, why is there another law like this? And I can give you a long history about that if you'd like to hear. For example, during World War II, when the Nazis invaded other countries, they would get into a small village, go to the mayor's office, find a register of the local people with name, address, religion, and that sort of thing. And it made them very very easy to find who they were looking for. So after the war, people asked, why do other people need to hold such sensitive information if it's not necessary?
Did you have laws prior to this that also spoke to the personal or protection of personal information, especially to consumers, prior to this POPI law?
Well, in South Africa, there was a general right to privacy, but nothing specific that gave us very definite rights that we are entitled to.
All right. Let's come to you, Elroy. Coming from Black Search, it's not the first time that you're joining us. Thank you very much for joining us again today. Now, when it comes to this law, what exactly are your views as Black Search? And do you think it's for the consumer or it's going to benefit the government and the private sector alone?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And yes, a previous engagement which we dealt with regards to the unlawful debit deductions of SASSA is the entry point for us participating in this discussion on the POPI Act. Remember that the POPI Act was first tabled in Parliament in 2009. It was only promulgated as an act early in 2013. But there's a problem. I phoned the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development yesterday just to make sure where are we at, and I spoke to one of the drafters there, and he informed me that whilst the act has been promulgated, it hasn't been implemented yet for a range of reasons. And one of the reasons is an information regulator. And the reason why we are passionate to make sure that this is passed is to provide additional protection to the role of SASSA in terms of identity of theft, the identity theft linked to unlawful debit deductions. So Yilungelo Lakho staff made the link that if this law was there, there would be additional protection from people who are aggressively marketing, making deductions for a range of issues that thousands of people are complaining about, and hold reckless lenders and unscrupulous financial service provider even more to account.
All right, let's take it from the point where as a consumer you go and you purchase a certain good, and definitely they will ask for your information, and sometimes the information is passed to other retailers without your consent. And how is that? How is the law, or rather let's say the act, how is that going to change or alter that kind of relationship between the consumer and the seller?
Well, there are 8 very clear conditions, Piwe, in the Act that protect people. And one of the requirements is that when you give your information to a third party, you must give consent first of all. And then there's a range of responsibilities that they have afterwards to protect that information, keep it secure, and not allow third parties to get hold of it.
And is that, I see you also want to say something, Elroy, in that regard?
On that point, the thousands of queries that are coming to our advice offices through the Association of Community Advice Officers, ACOSA, across the country, many of our partners and ourselves are seeing that people are saying, I never gave permission for my identity to be given to another person. So increasingly there is more and more activity to share information in the financial sector, either aggressively marketing people's identity in order to make more money, or making deductions of, in particular, the SASSA Grindrod bank accounts that was facilitated through Cash Paymaster Services. And at this point in time, there isn't sufficient recourse, which we are calling for in the ministerial task team, to make sure that people can be compensated and paid back from these unlawful deductions. Unlawful, which the minister calls that herself. So the abuse of financial data, that's what the National Treasury and the Financial Services Board called these kinds of practices in terms of the Joint Technical Report on Consumer Credit and Insurance activities released in July of this year.
All right, let's just hold it right there, Elroy, and let's quickly take a quick commercial break. Masikasebele venkileni ke kumba wethu siphethe namhlanje kuba ufuna na ukusasaza ilizwi wazise nabanye kuba intoni siphethe namhlanje khasembe siyocela xa siyosela amanzi xa sibuya isiqhubeka nomba wethu siphethe namhlanje. Well, welcome back. We're still discussing the Protection of Personal Information Act that was recently signed by the President. We're looking at how it will empower you as the consumer. Our participation line is 0117146918 or 6919. You can also send us an email to consumer@sabc.co.za. Alternatively, check us on social media platforms. You can check us on Facebook. We've got our page, and that is @Yilungelo Lakho, or just go and check us on Twitter @Yilungelo Lakho, #Yilungelo Lakho, retweet Yilungelo Lakho, whatever you have to do, Yilungelo Lakho. Now, gentlemen, before the break, we're talking about basically some of the reasons, or Elroy, you spoke about the held-ups that basically you've heard as the parliamentary or ministerial task team to look at some of the issues that could affect this law. And the question I was going to have for you is that you said that this has not basically been implemented as yet. What has led to that?
Okay. I think government and cabinet could perhaps share more light as to why the bill was passed in 2009 and it took up to 2013 to implement the act, to enable the act, to promulgate the act. What is keeping it back is the regulations and the implementation of the information regulator. Now, Lucian referred to 8 sets of conditions.
Yes.
And one of the things in relation to this ministerial task team you're referring to stop the unlawful debit deductions for airtime, electricity, and loans, will bring additional powers to the state to hold financial services accountable. And in particular, I'd like to draw attention to the issue of what is called biometric verification.
Yes.
Using your identity, your fingerprint, your voice, your retinal scan, DNA material to uniquely identify you as a person.
And that is already operational in some countries, I believe.
Yes, it is. But in the South African context, unfortunately, one of the things that the minister said in a speech to Parliament was that they are reviewing the issue of voice verification of SASSA beneficiaries. So there is a need to strengthen data privacy, and we are heartened that this will be for both public and private sector identity theft or data protection violations, that these parties can be held to account in the future.
All right, let's come to you, Lucian. What are some of the challenges that consumers have faced in the past when it comes to protection of their personal information that possibly this act will alter or look at?
Well, I think there's just been a general disregard for consumers in terms of their personal information. You and I both know we've received calls early in the morning, SMSs in the middle of the night.
People selling you insurances and
Precisely.
so forth.
You don't know where they've gotten your information from. So essentially what this law will say is that once you give your information for a particular purpose, here is my name and ID number to buy a cell phone, and you don't give any consent for anything else, you should not be expecting somebody in the tourism sector to call you and sell you timeshare or holidays or something.
I think the question of the consumer is when a third party, or when you're filling in a form, you go to a retail store and you're asked, should we pass your information to the third party? I think it's that third party that basically we're not clear about. Is the retail store that I've got a contractual agreement with, do they have a right to pass my information to another company without first calling me? Or it's not usually third party, rather, it's third parties, I must say, because you get these calls from a number of agencies or corporations, rather, that are selling you insurances or trying to buy your business. So what's a third party exactly?
The starting point of the law is that when you give your information, it is limited to that purpose only. If they are going to transfer it, they must get your clear and explicit consent to give it to a third party. If they don't, they're contravening the law, and there are serious implications for anyone who passes on personal information without permission from the consumer.
Elroy, let's come to you. Could this act possibly assist in the so overwhelming rate of consumers who are sitting with unnecessary credit? Millions of consumers, rather, who've got credit that perhaps because some people really don't know how to resist the temptation. When you get calls of somebody who's selling you the insurance and they say, actually, you qualify for this loan, once you already have some record of debt that is already overwhelming to you. How is this going to assist the process or help consumers in fighting that?
I think it's important to say assist. So it's an and. I don't think that government entities that have compromised the identity of the unlawful passing on of identity and liability that has subsequently arisen to the particular grant beneficiaries should be left off the hook. So we are very clear that the protection of state data that was the responsibility of SASSA needs to account for that, and one of our calls in the Hands of Our Grant campaign was that the Minister and government, including SASSA, be held accountable for these deductions. This Protection of Personal Information Act will strengthen that. It will make sure that there are increased fines and identification of the parties concerned. But the most important thing that I think government is waking up to, Treasury has said it, the DTI has now passed draft regulations to assess affordability. There is tightening up of reckless credit granting, and the National Treasury has expressed great concern for increased household indebtedness. In part, the trading of personal information may have fueled this, in particular in the unsecured credit sector, which has grown in 2012 already by 49% compared to the debtors book, with other entities of credit growing only by about 9 to 10%.
9 to 10. Earlier on, you spoke about identity theft. So people who lose their IDs, rather, excuse me, and then they would have people opening accounts, or rather accessing credit on their behalf without them knowing, and they're sitting with huge sums of money or credit that they do not know how to deal with. So if you are a victim of such circumstances, what do you do then? Moving forward, seeing that the president or the parliament has passed this from being a bill to being an act, and it's supposed to be on the ground operational already. So what do you do when you're sitting with such a record, knowing that it was not your fault?
Right now, the people we work with, our experience on the ground, is that people are between a rock and a hard place.
Okay.
One of the things that has happened in relation to these unlawful deductions, in particular airtime and electricity, is that SASSA has been working with us, and some persons have been blocked from, some entities have been blocked from taking future deductions. But it's early days yet, and we do think that the POPI Act will strengthen the hand of government, in particular to stop this kind of reckless credit granting. It doesn't take the responsibility off the individual not to just take credit for the sake of credit. I think we should be very careful with our finances. Grants were made there for addressing essential needs and services as an intervention by the state. And at the same time, businesses should not use the loopholes right now from an ethical perspective to exploit people further.
Okay, Elroy, I want us to focus basically on the protection of the personal information as a consumer, not just as a beneficiary from state funds. And after the break, I also want you to tell us, basically, Lucian, about some of the concerns that I believe that some businesses have concerns when it comes to this act, that is going to affect them, it's going to affect their relation and their productivity as well. But let's just quickly take a quick ad break before we continue with our discussion. And after this ad break, we continue with this passing of personal information bill that is affecting you as you're watching right at home. Well, we're wrapping up this topic, or this part of our show, that is the final segment of the protection of the information bill, or personal information bill rather. Later we'll be tackling the confusion around the 5 Rand Mandela coins. You must know that it's 0117146918 or 6919. Now, Elroy, before the break, you were basically telling us, I did question this, if the president did pass the law, or he said it must be down on the ground, and you said that the different entities that are part of this, or that are involved in making sure that it's operational. In the meantime, what do consumers do when you are called by these agencies, when people still continue to open accounts on behalf of your identity, that is identity theft? What can we do as consumers in the meantime, just to make sure that we curb or we tackle this issue?
In answer to your first part of the question, the government could answer as to why it is delayed. Only government would know. We would certainly urge for stronger political will to be exercised to prioritize this, because this additional intervention will further protect vulnerable consumers, in particular SASSA beneficiaries.
Right.
With regards to what people can do, don't give your PIN over. Nobody should do that. Any person with a bank account should never disclose their PIN. Do not give your ID number under any circumstances to anybody, because you can link an identity number through the SASSA beneficiary system.
But when information is being transferred from one retail store to another, then how do I protect my ID number? Because I can give it to you as a retail store that I've got a contractual agreement with. What then happens when you pass it to another agency?
That is a gap within the law, which I think the POPI Act is trying to close.
Okay.
Keep receipts. When you lose your ID or any personal documentation, report it immediately to the police. Have an affidavit to prove that, because if any fraud happens post theft of your identity document or personal information, you may be held liable. So look after that which enables you to get money legally. Do not give your codes, your pins to anybody. Keep receipts, report it to people, and discuss it with your neighbors. The challenges you have. I think financial issues are very, very personal, and people keep it to themselves. It causes unnecessary stress, family tension in particular, with regards to these kinds of practices. So we hope the Property Act happens quickly.
Lucian, before the break I said that businesses seem to have a different view when it comes to the Property Act and how it's going to affect their productivity and just bringing in sales. Now they will no longer be allowed to pass on information and sell information, my information as a consumer to other agencies. Did you look at that, or did you consider that view when passing this law?
Well, I think the main reason businesses were very concerned about Poppy was the expense that they would have to incur in putting systems in place, in upgrading their security, and ensuring that they are able to comply with Poppy. So much of what was said during the time that it was a bill was, oh no, we're going to have to spend a lot of money, this is unnecessary, why do we have to do it?
All right.
There were also complaints perhaps or concerns from the marketing industry about whether they would be able to continue to market in certain ways. So there was a delay because of these reasons, and that's why, Leroy, it probably took so long from 2009 to 2013 to get passed into law.
And to fast track the implementation, what are you doing coming from the legal side?
Well, the state is trying. It's not sitting back doing nothing. In April, they passed a regulation which essentially has fast-tracked, if I can call it that, authorized the formation of the regulator who will police this and make sure that the law is implemented.
All right, so when is it going to kick in, basically? When is it going to be on the ground? And when do I have a legal stand as a consumer to go and to sue a retail store that I pass my information to? When is it going to be operational on the ground? I do understand that you said there are a couple of agencies that are involved in making sure that it's on the ground, but when can we expect it?
Well, there isn't really much certainty, but many people are hoping that by the end of the year, the full act will be signed into law, and that's when you as a consumer will have a whole lot more rights than you have now. And that's when people who are misusing the information will be capable of being punished and have huge fines and even imprisonment imposed on them.
Okay, yes, all right.
I wish it can happen sooner. I think all attempts needs to be made to protect consumers who are particularly vulnerable at this economic time in our history. I do think that what should not happen is that people's rights should be compromised in the name of business interests. There's no logic to that, because it will just fuel reckless credit granting. It will just undo that which the Act and other legislation is meant to do.
Okay, who will be regulating it? You're going to have an information regulator that's going to be appointed to make sure that they fast-track this system?
Aspects of the implementation of regulations, yes, that is my understanding.
Okay.
But the bill was drafted.
Have you appointed one?
I'm not sure.
You're not appointed.
There isn't an information regulator yet, as far as I'm aware,
Okay.
but the information regulator will hold a lot of power, not just to enforce the Act, but to educate people on what their rights are and to help them as far as complaints are concerned.
As far as complaints are concerned. Well, let's quickly take some of the messages we've got on Facebook. We did tell you that if you want to be part of this discussion, just make sure that you send us your Facebook messages and some on Twitter as well. We've got Mbuyiselo Zulu, who says, I've never been a victim of ID fraud, but I'm aware of this fraud because I don't want to be a victim one day. And then we've got George Vongani Wagamatonzi, who says, I don't give a stranger my personal information through phone, SMS, or email. I visit the office for more information before I take my decision. People, beware of fraud. And then we've got NJO Nkhetelo Makumbila, who says, please people, make sure your IDs are safe. Your ID is your life. Well, just to throw one to you, gentlemen, just 2 days ago we had one of the credit lenders who is in the process of being cancelled by government because they do not have, there's been proof that they do not, I will not mention them, but there's been proof that they do not have documentation, they do not keep documentation, everything is done over the phone. You are called by this agency, they say, do you need a loan? Yes, I do need a loan. Well, how much do you, and I can quickly say, and I can lie, and there is no verification of that kind of information. Now, to protect the consumer from such agencies, what can you say to the consumer who is vulnerable for help and for financial assistance also, to look out for so that they can benefit on this bill? Act rather. Elroy.
A lot of things are happening in parallel. Previously, as you correctly said, there is no standardized assessment for affordability of credit. What is happening now, the Minister of Trade and Industry issued draft regulations on increased affordability to tighten the draft regulations on affordability assessment. The powers of the National Credit Regulator, the National Credit Tribunal, have been strengthened. I've read recently that a company has been fined up to 700,000 rand for reckless credit granting.
Okay.
I think we should take a lesson from what is happening in the United Kingdom. One company in particular, and I can mention it because it's public knowledge,
Yes.
Wonga.com was kicked out and instructed by the British government to pay back 27,000 people they fraudulently took and said they falsely made up legal companies and added to the charges. They had to pay it back. Why are we allowing such a company to trade in South Africa?
Okay, let's quickly take a caller. I believe that we've got Linda who's calling us from Dobsonville. Hello?
Yeah, hello dear. I'm Lydia actually.
Oh, Lydia, yes, who called us?
Lydia, and I have a similar thing that happened to me from ATA. They gave my name to 3 other companies, including Standard Bank, you know. That is Allied Airlines. They were taking for emails which they were still taking from my account. And as they say, they are doing that on behalf of ATA. And then I phoned ATA wanting them to tell me where do these people come into my account, because they were taking it from my money. And they were taking, ATA was taking all the amount that I was using the phone for. And ATA denied that he's doing that. He said, no, they are not doing it on behalf of him. But they tell me it's ATA.
It's ATA. Okay, Mama,
Yes.
okay, why are you ATA? Did you go to ATA to perhaps with proof into Okbana airtime is being deducted from your account?
I don't even know whether ATA, all the shops of ATA, they tell us they are franchise. There's nothing they can do with anything that ATA, the telephonical phones that we bought, they can do nothing about it.
Okay, Mama, Lucian is going to talk to you quickly and try to answer your question.
Okay, Mama. If there's no proof that they are entitled to be taking money out of your account, they're basically committing fraud. If ATA didn't give them your information, they've gotten it from somewhere else.
What can she do?
You should visit a local police station, perhaps open up a case of fraud against them. Also, once you've opened up that case, perhaps go to your bank and instruct your bank to try or to stop those debit orders from
Can
coming
she get a
over.
refund?
I did stop that, but I want my money back from ATA. Because
Is that
really,
possible?
I don't think these people would say that, because they are also dealing about the phones. They won't do that if it's not on behalf of ATA.
Okay.
It comes down, Mama, to you showing and proving that ATA was actually the people or the person that passed your information on. If you can show that clearly,
The
you
bank
can get your
phoned
money
them
back.
in front of me. I went to Maponya Mall FNB. They phoned them and they find out that
Okay.
is those people. Allied Airlines says he's doing it for ATA. Standard Bank also is doing that for ATA. Allied Airlines is doing for phone box. I don't know what is it when it's lost. So I realize it's 660 rands that they've taken from my
Yeah, that's
account.
quite a lot of money. Well, Mom Lydia, can you please stay and watch your TV? We'll try to answer your question. We just need to wrap up this insert, this part of our discussion,
Okay.
gentlemen. You heard basically that Lydia is all she's asking for is for a refund, and you'll find that there are a number of consumers out there who are saying that there's been these deductions on my account and on behalf of my name. How do I go about accessing the money back, getting a refund? Is that possible, Elroy?
The first thing that Lydia needs to do is tell a story like she's done now. Importantly, she needs to get an affidavit. Perhaps she can take down the helpline number of the Black Sash, or we can get her details after the show so that we can refer to the proper places.
Okay.
Documentation, expose, report, and we hope that the implementation of the POPI Act will prevent these things from happening in the future.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us and giving us information about this POPI Act. Well, if you're watching right now and possibly you're looking for information and you want to know where you can go to forward some of your grievances, we will take some of the details and possibly forward your information to Elroy and to Lucian also. Masibulele ke kwiindwendwe zethu sizasijoyina on this segment. After the break, we'll continue. We start actually, we can call it a continuation because we had the story earlier on. We'll have Vusimaga joining us in studio and basically telling us about what to look at when just some clarity actually on this coin story. Let me just leave it at that. Vusi Madera, not Vusi Maga, just for clarity. After the break, we're talking to Vusi Madera, and he'll be giving us information on the coin story. Stay tuned.
Cacisa kahle all the information ekhona kule the particular set, the coins ukuthi i-contain which metal and the quantity that is actually made.
Okay.
Kule set they only made 5,000
Okay.
and khona manje the set is selling for 20,000 rands
So it's 5,000 of the set ekhona kuzwelonke.
kuzolonke.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yilezo kuphela ezithengiswayo.
Yebo.
5 rand enguthola etaxini angikhathali noba ngiba-collect bawu-60 or over bagcwele umqomo. They are worth 5 rands.
They are worth 5 rands.
All right. How did people access this? I think somebody perhaps might be interested in Dobana. Ifunyanwa ke le clutch or the case.
They can phone my company
Okay.
or bathumele email. That's the most important.
Where did you get it? Where?
Le iyenzwa ku South African Mint.
South African Mint.
Yebo.
Okay. So here's somebody who's watching at home. Uthi yena ufuna ukuthengisa i-5 rands or une 5 rand coins acinga uba worth, despite what we were saying, but if a big coin, but you believe about they're worth something.
Yeah.
Where can they go?
They can phone us as dealers, but
Okay.
please ngizocela abantu ukuthi bangasfonela ngale ordinary 5 rands because I've had plenty of calls. I've been receiving calls from Lesotho, Swaziland, Zimbabwe.
Abantu bafuna ukuthengisa imali.
They want to sell and it's impossible. There's no way that the government will make money that all of us could have been rich if ever the 5 rands were worth something. So I ask people, please, lama 5 rand waphethe bemele ukuthi niwasebenzisele ukuthenga ngawo
Okay.
kuphelela lapho.
Okay, can you just explain? I'm going to take this out. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
We've got these 2 5 rands,
Yeah.
and the other one is smaller, and the other one is bigger.
Yeah.
And this one looks more different. Actually, it looks like it's got some gold and silver and platinum, or
Yeah.
all these rich
Yes.
metallics. And this one looks quite regular, like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Into nomehluko kutheni nje sizakuhluka
The
kodwa
difference-
zombini ziyathengiswa.
the
Lena
dif-
iyafana nalena nayo na.
Yebo.
Do you hear me, Lonia?
Basically le uyiphethe esandleni ile bayenze as a recollector's item ehambisana nale set.
Okay.
So the other one that you are holding on your left hand side, which is the bigger one, iyenziwe ngegolide nesilver.
So this is real gold.
Yebo. So mawuz combine yizo zenza ukuthi the price comes to 20,000 rands.
Okay.
Abantu mele bazi ukuthi when you collect coins, the one thing that makes the coins to have value mostly is gold and silver. So le 5 rand less isebenzisayo thenga ngayo, it's only just rare metals. It's just metals nje which are cheap. So Tina as dealers, we can't be buying those coins which are not really worth anything in terms of materials. So the one thing that is making this set to be 20,000 rand is this particular one here gold and silver.
Mbukeli, I hope as you are watching right there at home, you're getting the message so clear namhlanje kuba sithi kuni bomama, bomakhulu, bonke abantu bebecinga into yokubana sithi namhlanje sithengisa imali kuyilungelo lakho or at the SABC. We are not saying that. Namhlanje nansi case. If you don't have this and you don't have a certificate that's currently reflecting in our screen, then you don't have 5 rands that are worth anything. You only have 5 rands.
Yeah.
As a 5 no big
Yebo.
All right. Let's just talk basically about who qualifies to get these. Must you have a certain qualification to get those 5 rands that you bought at the Reserve Bank at
No.
Mint rather?
Everyone does have an access to buy these particular sets.
Kodwa Mint only.
Go Mint. But after now they've been sold to abantu, for people to actually get there, they must actually come to us as dealers.
Okay.
Because the South African Mint doesn't buy back Lama products.
So you only buy uyayithenga phaya South African Mint.
Yebo.
Then uhambe uyokhangela ke ngoku uVusi Madela ufike uthi kuye Vusi ndinale kit ungandithengiselanga ndingakuthengiselanga mali.
Yebo.
Okay. Kukhona what is scams when you're driving down Johannesburg or any other city perhaps, people are being duped. Kubekwa le 5 rands kuthiwe come take 5, especially tourists abantu abasuka kumazwe amaphandle.
Yebo.
Kuthi mabazothatha ezi coins bazozithengisela ngemali enga and ufumanisa uba these are just normal 5 rand coins. Simjongisa kanjani ke simlumkisa kanjani kumbukeli sithi makajonge ntoni okanye makathi look out for what rather to make sure uba abathi abaxhatshazwa.
To best protect themselves against scammers, abantu mele bafune any coin ehambisana nesitifiketi.
Okay. So it must have a certificate.
It must.
Nobody must sell you or must say they are selling a coin or buy a coin without a certificate.
The first protection
It's the
is
certificate.
the certificate.
All right. Mbogeli, as you are watching right there at home, you must have a certificate. If somebody has been saying to you that they've got 5 rand coins, especially if you're watching, you're not a South African citizen, or now uyothenga 5 rands, it's not going to happen. You must buy this kit at the Mint, South African Mint services. Well, masiqhubeke nalenqobo yethu emva kweveki kwentengiso rather. After the break, we'll continue with our story. Masikwamukele kwakhona. We're still with Vusi Mandela right here in studio. He's a coin dealer explaining some of the confusion around the Mandela 5 rand coin, that story that we've heard. We've got a caller who's calling us right now, trying to get some information on the matter. Hello.
Hello, kunjani bhuti?
Sikhona bhuti kunjani?
Ngiphilile kakhulu. Igama lami ngingumolo Maseko waseDumbe eZibomvu.
Siyakwamukela molo.
Mntaka baba, nginombuzo lapha. Nginayo le lokuzana le coin 5 rand manje ithi mayicishe ufane nale eniveza lapha.
Uyithatha phi coin bhuti?
Le coin enginayo inaso isithombe sika baba uMandela manje inkinga kimi isingile. Bangishintshele ngayo esitolo. Angazi ukuthi mhlawumbe
But Molo, what we said, siye sasho ekuqaleni kweshow ubhuti Vusi uyocacisa ukuthi uma uyithola esitolo, it's not worth anything but 5 rands. Akuyona awuyitholi le coin esikhuluma ngayo namhlanje, awuyitholi esitolo, awuyitholi ebhankini ngokuthi uhambe uyo-exchange, awuyitholi futhi nasetaxini. You have to go to the Mint. So lo 5 rand nawo baba zokucabisa nje ukuthi uhambe uyothenga isinkwa okanye uthenge airtime.
Okay, right, mhlawumbe
All right. Siyabonga kakhulu baba. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mbogeli Maske, let's just again let me just give you the view basically of how the coin looks like. Let me just take it out. The certificate. Firstly, we're saying this is the kit. All right. I hope the cameras are looking right now. This is the kit, and this is how it looks like. Okay. So these are the coins. This is the 5 rand coins. This one you said this one is worth how much?
Combined is 20,000.
Okay, the whole thing. But in order for you to be able to sell this, you must have this certificate. Now let me show you the certificate, how it looks like. So you must be authorized. You can't have a 5 rands. It's written the Nelson Mandela 90th birthday celebration, and then this one is a 2008 kit, I believe.
Yeah.
So ukuze ukwazi ukuthengisa Mbogeli, we're going to say and emphasize this again. Bantakwethu ukuba une 5 rand, ukuba une 5 rand uyifumana eTaxini akuyiyo lesithetha ngayo namhlanje. The 5 rand we're talking about, you must go and find it where? Mint.
South African Mint.
South African Mint. You must go to South African Mint. So how figure out South African Mint? You can go there and say, I want the 5 rand Mandela. You are going to buy it. It just doesn't happen by coincidence that you're going there to Mint and then they give it to you. Here is how it looks like. When closed, it looks like this, and even outside it's got Dada Nelson Mandela's face, and then when you're looking inside, it's got a certificate. Is it written your name, Vusi? No, but basically it tells you that the coin that you have been sold was distributed when in 2012 or in 2010, and you will have these 2 coins inside, the big one and the small one. Then, if you have this kit, then you can sell.
Just to explain to ababulekile ekhaya, these sets babaye SA Mint bathole azikho, then they come to us.
Okay.
Because Tina as dealers, we actually service the secondary market.
Okay.
That's the most important.
All right.
And again, the most important thing I need to mention is that in all the calls that I've received, solo wasaba khona that previous time,
Yes. Batina bantu.
people they want to only sell. I've never heard anyone who says, I want to buy 5 rand.
So let's make this clear to the consumer who's watching. In order for you to sell, you must first buy.
Yeah.
In order for you to say you want to sell your 5 rands, you must have bought that 5 rands. Nayo uthole taxi. Ayonikwe kwamashonisi. Yes.
And the guys who are cheating people out there, they come and talk about big sums of money. Bazothetha ukuba this thing is costing this much, and that much. But the most important thing is that when I'm keep 5 rand, I'm selling this, they're not buying it.
You cannot buy it.
So now the biggest challenge here would abantu they'll end up paying a lot of money for a 5 rand, keeping them for a very long time. The next time when they try to sell them, there's no one who's use that to actually buy them back.
Aske siyibulale ke baba.
Yeah.
Now, you're coming for the second time and to talk about this coin story. At least people can see this is what we're talking about. You must have a certificate and it must be sealed. You can see, as you can see, I'm going to take this out for the last time. I think I'm loving the idea that I'm handling these coins. I must make use of it twice last. We have these coins and they are sealed.
Yeah.
No fingerprints. Nobody can say that they've touched them.
Yes.
They are sealed, as you can see. They are in this plastic container.
Yeah.
So you bought them like this and you've
Like
never
this.
opened.
Everything as it comes exactly like
It
this.
comes as like, okay, so what are you saying to the consumers watching now? Umuntu osuke eThekwini waze eGoli and thought Sandton Convention Center perhaps uthengiswa khona ama-coins. Baya kuphi abantu?
Abantu, they must be very, very patient. Mabathola information to start with before nginikeza ama-contacts.
Okay, so we're not selling the 5 rand coins.
Exactly.
They must go to SA Mint. Well, thank you so much, Vusi, for joining us once again. Sithemba ke nawe ke mbukeli busifumene zonke ingqondo lobusifuna about the 5 rand Mandela story, or the Mandela coin rather, that we covered weeks ago. Singaphinde ke bethuna sibe nabantu abazawuza e-studio abaze bazosicela basibathengisele coins. Well, from me, Siphiwe Ganzaumbi, I'm going to thank Vusi once again, and thank you to you for joining us for today's segment, of today's story rather. Watch our repeats on Mondays at 12, and that's where you're going to get this information. So if there was somebody who was watching, was supposed to watch and did not watch, tell them to watch that coming Monday at 12 o'clock. Our repeats have moved from 10 to 12. From me, Siphiwe Ganzaumbi, and the rest of the team, it's goodbye. Have a great weekend and have a fantabulous time also.